10 rare and expensive items sold on Pawn Stars. Hey there, YouTube. You know that show, Pawn Stars? Well, it's a pretty interesting show. Bring stuff you deem rare in and they'll give you a price for it. Pawn Stars has made its name for its rare items, many of which are worth thousands of dollars. They've gotten so many different items over the years, each one ranging from hundreds of years old to brand new. Today we have 10 rare and expensive items you may not know have been bought by the Pawn Stars themselves. Let's get it started, shall we? Number 10. President John F. Kennedy's box of cigars. $500,000. John F. Kennedy is by far one of America's most beloved and respected former presidents. Even before JFK was elected to the nation's highest office, his family was already basically American royalty thanks to his extremely wealthy father and the connections to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. This made the younger Kennedy remarkably popular upon arrival at the Oval Office, and the unfortunately short tenure of his presidency prior to being assassinated gave additional historical importance to everything he did while there. Though not exactly earth-changing, even a simple little cigar box that sat on JFK's desk could be extremely noteworthy and valuable to his biggest admirers. If there were a few cigars left in the box, unsmoked but presumably touched by JFK as he reached for another, that would be even better. Rick Harrison knew all this the moment a man handed him JFK's cigar box and offered him a cool $60,000 for it. Turns out, this was a massive steal, as similar items have sold for over $500,000. Number 9. 4 1-kilo gold bars, $128,000. Now this goes without saying, a classic car or a beautiful guitar can net a whole lot of money with the right customer, as this list is repeatedly proving with these high-ticket items. However, the standard of money in America and around the world is still precious metals, with gold in particular high atop the list of the most valuable things in existence. There's a reason Rick Harrison and the old man named their pawn shop gold and silver, and it tracks that the most expensive item they ever bought would be one of these two alloys. According to the History Channel website, the most money Rick ever shelled out on a single deal was predictably the golden substance itself, giving a customer $128,000 for 4 1-kilo bars. Now, how exactly this person came into all that gold isn't quite clear, but we bet they took their earnings straight to the bank. Or maybe a nearby casino. After that trade, they had money to spare, let's be honest here. Number 8. Over 200 pounds of silver. $111,000 and rising. Ask Rick Harrison, his son Corey, or even their idiot friend Chumley what the old man loves above all else, and any of them could easily tell audiences that answer is cold, hard silver. Even more so than gold. The old man is obsessed with collecting the slightly less valuable yet still incredibly pricey precious metal and always jumps on the opportunity to make a deal with someone if they have any to spare. There is a catch though, that he or Rick need to be absolutely sure the silver is legitimate and not some cheap knockoff of far lesser value. This is especially a concern should a customer come in with what they claim is a giant bar of pure silver they claim was sitting in the garage for over a decade. Surprisingly, when that exact scenario happened, Rick soon confirmed it was the real deal by drilling into the bar and testing its core. Knowing at that point that he had struck true silver, Rick gave his old man a gift to the tune of $111,000 of his favorite substance. Number 7. 1932 Custom Ford Roadster. $68,250. Two of the most popular items on Pawn Stars are antiques and cars, so naturally when the two concepts get combined into one, big bucks quickly enter the conversation. That was definitely the case when a customer invited Rick and Corey Harrison to his home for negotiations over a beautiful black 1932 Custom Ford Roadster. This Roadster was actually similar to the classic Model B. When cars of this style were first introduced, they cost a cool $490, which even with inflation is just a modest $8,822 today. However, the age of the car, plus the fact that it was practically in perfect condition with only 450 miles on the speedometer after almost 80 years of existence, that's pretty good. Despite how good things looked though, Rick and Corey were understandably a little bit hesitant to make such a big money deal on an extremely old vehicle, until their car expert friend Danny the Count Coker talked them into it. Number 6. Mary Ford's 1961 Gibson SG Les Paul guitar, $90,000. When it comes to guitars, there's pretty much no name that carries more respect than Les Paul. One of the original inventors of electric guitars, Paul continued tweaking and innovating his creation for decades until he found the perfect instrument to make the sound he wanted. Not only did Paul invent and play many of these guitars himself, he also gifted a few of his best creations to his wife, with whom he also formed a very popular duo in the 1950s. Together, Les Paul and Mary Ford sang and played on dozens of huge pop hits, selling millions of records. For all these reasons, it was immediately apparent that Rick Harrison stumbled into something huge when a customer walked into the store with a guitar built by Les Paul and played by his wife Mary. On top of it all though, there's also the notoriety that comes with the deceased artist's name, as both Ford and Paul had long since passed on when Rick bought the guitar, hence the high price tag. Number 5. Spanish gold bar from the 1500s. $50,000. In a manner of speaking, it could be argued that people who own pawn shops are almost modern-day pirates. Okay, so they pay people for what they take, but the idea of giving someone a small pittance for a precious family heirloom isn't that far off from looting and plundering. Especially when Rick Harrison is known for saying, I can give you about $5 for that. Even if you don't agree with this assessment in general, one has to admit Rick Harrison seemed a whole lot like a pirate when he purchased a giant chunk of gold found during the 1554 wreck of the San Esteban. The Spanish ship was destroyed in a storm while delivering various items including gold and silver through the Gulf of Mexico, killing most of the 300 sailors on board and leaving all that precious cargo at the bottom of the sea. One way or another, one of the gold bars on the vessel wound up in a gold and silver customer's attic, so he brought it in for Rick and the gang to examine. After calling in an expert, they learned exactly where it was from and what it was worth, making a $35,000 deal on the 50,000 piece of naval history. Number 4. 5th edition Book of Mormon, $40,000. When a singular book is responsible for creating one of the biggest religions in the world today, it's fair to say it reached that level of uniqueness. That was definitely the case with this 1842 copy of a 5th edition Book of Mormon, one of the last printed in the lifetime of Mormonism's founder, Joseph Smith. When a customer brought this into Rick's store, he understandably doubted it could possibly be real, only for expert Rebecca Romney to confirm it was. Given the historical value alone, Rick was willing to drop $24,000 on a book Romney said could probably make him $40,000. Number 3. Polish Order of the White Eagle Medallion, $30,000. Every time someone walks into a garage sale or cleans out an attic, they subconsciously hope some rare, mysterious artifact will be waiting for them to find it. Unfortunately, this almost never happens, but in very rare occasions, it actually does, and with fortuitous results to the person who made the discovery. An extremely fortunate Pawn Stars customer felt this thrill after purchasing a pretty chunk of metal for a whopping 75 cents at a random yard sale. Despite not knowing much about it, Rick Harrison recognized there may be some value to this pretty piece of silver, dropping $6,000 on the piece before even bringing in one of his experts to appraise it and tell them exactly what it was. Turns out, though, the shiny medallion was actually a literal badge of honor from 16th century Poland, making Rick just as lucky as the person who brought it in. Rick later found out that it was an Order of the White Eagle medallion and that $6,000 investment might be worth roughly $30,000 to the right buyer. Number 2. 1922 Proof Piece Dollar Coin, $100,000. Believe it or not, some of the priciest items that fall into Rick Harrison's hands are tiny little things that most people could easily lose in their pockets. If they don't get lost, the original owner of these classic collectibles might not realize the value and do something silly like lose it in a poker game. That was the story when a high roller wandered into gold and silver pawn shop with his coin from 1922, apparently winning it with a single lucky hand. While the customer knew the coin was extremely rare and believed it to be one of less than a dozen still in existence, he was nonetheless blown away when an expert told him the actual value. Despite originally asking for just $20,000, it turned out that this particular chunk of metal was a proof piece high-relief dollar coin worth around $100,000 in mint condition. With this new information, Rick was able to talk the guy down to $80,000 to ensure he'd still make a decent profit out of the deal as well. Number 1. Super Bowl 36 ring, $100,000. When it comes to football, there's no greater piece of history than a Super Bowl winner's ring, an honor even some of the best players in history never got to hold. Ironically enough though, other players somehow won them without ever playing a single second for the victorious team, as was the case with rookie Patriot Brock Williams in 2001. Right after getting traded, Williams tore his ankle, leaving him out of action for the entire season, including the patch trip to Super Bowl 36. Despite all this, Williams still got a ring when his team beat the Rams 20-17. Perhaps feeling like he didn't earn it, Williams was willing to pawn it off for $2,600, assuming he'd get it back pretty soon. For whatever reason, he never came back for it, making it Rick's possession after the requisite after 120 days. Because it's now his to sell, the price tag has rocketed up to $100,000. And that was 10 rare and expensive items sold on Pawn Stars. Which item was the most bizarre of the bunch? Or which one do you believe isn't worth its value? Leave us a comment below and don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe for more content from us here at Top 5 Best. Thanks for watching and we'll see you all again soon.